I'd like to start by introducing myself as well. So, my name is Rajasekaran, and I am the head of cyber threat research at Saptang Labs. Saptang Labs is a cybersecurity startup based in Chennai, and we develop indigenous solutions for both public and private sector companies in the Indian cyberspace, helping them to thwart any kind of cyber-based threats. So, in today's presentation, I'll be covering the topic of unmasking Chinese-originated cybercrimes that are targeting India. So this presentation will cover in detail about these scams and analyzing how these Chinese originated scams impact the Indian citizens. So let's get started. So to give a quick overview of what the presentation will be about, I'll be covering different varieties of scams that are originating from China, including e-commerce scams, fake loan applications, investment scams, recruitment scams, and so on. So let's get started by introducing regarding the presentation as a whole. So, as many of you might already know, in the current digital era, cybersecurity has become a very major concern, particularly in the face of growing cybercrime trends. So, this presentation will focus on the surge in the cybercrimes originating from China in recent times, specifically targeting India. So these activities have become a significant threat and they are exploiting a lot of technological vulnerabilities in our digital space. So our investigation for this presentation revealed a diverse range of cyber criminal tactics employed by these scammers. And these include sophisticated loan applications, fake e-commerce websites, phishing schemes, and bogus investment opportunities. So the common thread that is behind all these various methods is that their origin is from China and their primary target is India, making this a concerning trend in international cybercrime. So the importance of this presentation lies in that we are providing a detailed examination of the strategies that are employed by these scammers and cyber criminals. And by understanding the techniques they use and the extent of their operations, I aim to shed light on the severity of this threat. So, and I want everyone to understand that this is not just a matter of financial loss, but these crimes have broader implications for public trust in digital platforms and both personal and national data security as well. So, with its vast and growing digital user base, India is presenting itself as a significant target for these cyber criminal operations from China. So, the focus on Chinese organized cyber crimes in India is both timely and critical in this current scenario, and it underscores the awareness and the strong cybersecurity measures we would need and international cooperation that is required to address these threats. So I hope this presentation will provide everyone a comprehensive overview of these cybercrimes and offer insights that can help guide effective strategies to safeguard India's digital space and enhances its collaborative efforts with increasingly sophisticated and targeted cyber threats targeting our country. So first, I would like to start with the e-commerce scam that is originating from China. So e-commerce scams have become a significant threat in recent days to online consumer safety. So these scams often employ domain fuzzing techniques like typo squatting domains and creating misleading website addresses that mimic legitimate e-commerce websites that are very popular in India, like Amazon and Flipkart. So the scammers behind these, they leverage free hosting services and website design clones to enhance the legitimacy of their fraudulent websites. And they often distribute such fake and fraudulent e-commerce websites through social media advertisements, and they implement tactics like SEO poisoning and phishing messages to target a global audience and specifically send such websites to victims that are most likely to visit these sites and make a purchase. So this particular part of the report will delve deep into the mechanisms of these scams and the impact they have and the strategies to mitigate these scams as well. So one of the major techniques that these scammers they use to create these fake websites is something called domain fuzzing techniques. So they create a website that is mimicking the domain name of a well-known popular website like Amazon or Flipkart. And most of these fake domains are often registered through Chinese registrars like e-name, which further complicates the traceability factor of these. And it also makes things like jurisdictional actions complicated because it is an international registration domain. And most of these scammers, they prefer using free hosting websites and platforms like 000 web host and about.me because of their free service offerings. And they also set up websites with minimal cost, and they use website clones that they purchase from dark web or Telegram channels to enhance the feasibility of deploying multiple such scam sites in a very short span of time. So, in our research, we identified that over 15 different Telegram channels are found to be distributing messages that involve scammers selling scam pages for popular online shopping sites in India, including Amazon, Netflix, Apple website, etc. So as you can see in the below screenshot, this is a message which we got from Telegram using one of our internal monitoring tools, and it is a message sent by a scammer who is trying to sell scam pages of Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and the likes. So these scammers, they actually distribute such website clones for popular e-commerce sites in platforms like Telegram across several different channels, and we have uncovered hundreds of messages like this that are being sent on a regular basis. So even people without much technical knowledge or web development background, they can easily buy such website clones from Telegram channels and deploy any number of scam websites which look exactly like the official websites of the popular e-commerce sites in India. And these scam pages and website clones are also even being distributed in dark web marketplaces and carding sites in exchange for cryptocurrency. And some of these scammers even go to the extent of actually providing live tutorial videos on how to set up these sites and deploy them online to help the scammers to scale up their operations without any issues. So as you can see, this is one of the fake websites that is impersonating Flipkart, and we uncovered this during our investigation. That this particular website is being distributed as a sponsored advertisement in Facebook and Instagram. So as you can see, the domain name is actually shopsalegadgets.com, but the website is impersonating Flipkart, mimicking its website design and using the layout and the logo of Flipkart as well. And the scammers utilize platforms like Telegram, WhatsApp messages, and emails to distribute such fake website links to a wide number of people, trying to lure victims into making purchases in these sites. So they also use techniques like SEO poisoning to manipulate search engine results and to increase the visibility of their sites. And like I mentioned, similar to this particular website, we have identified over 20 websites in the past month alone that are being distributed organically and through both paid and sponsored ads as well in platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Telegram. So you can see here there are several ads which we have uncovered, and all of these are either impersonating a Flipkart or an Amazon website and promising a very cheap price for costly products like iPhone, offering 99% discounts or something like that. And all of these are sponsored ads that are being targeted to spread them to victims that are more likely to visit such websites and make online purchases. So they utilize Facebook's advertising policies and marketing modules to target specific audiences like this. And as you can see, a lot of these advertisements have a lot of likes, comments, and shares as well, which signifies that they are actually reaching a wide number of people, and the impact is very significant in this particular scam. So these are the some of the domain names which we uncovered during our investigation, and as you can see, it clearly follows a pattern. So you can see they commonly use keywords like shop or festival or offer or deals or some combination or variation of these words to create as many number of websites as they can. And because of the website clones, it makes it possible for them to instantly create and distribute such fake websites and use distribution platforms like social media sponsored ads and YouTube videos and Telegram channels to spread these websites like wildfire and targeting a large number of victims. So like I mentioned, they use e-commerce terms in the domain names to boost their visibility, and they specifically target peak shopping events like Christmas, Black Friday, and Diwali, where a huge number of people flock online to purchase goods from the e-commerce websites. And even if platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube identify and block these scammers, they simply just create a different account and a different domain using some cheap hosting website and continue to scale up their scams. So as you can see from this screenshot, this particular domain todaydeal.shop is actually impersonating the official website of Flipkart. So it is exactly mimicking the website design and the product pages and everything. So for a majority of people, they might not be able to grasp that this is actually a fake website. And since they often try to entice users into providing uh, extreme offer discounts, and they have a tight deadline before the offer expires, people often fall into such scams, and they uh, directly pay for it. And since they also offer easy payment options like UPI IDs, they people just quickly use these apps to fall into these scams. And as you can see, we have identified 4 different UPI IDs from some of these scam websites. And most of these UPI IDs which we have identified, they tend to use some combination of banks like Axis Bank, Indus Bank, and SBI. And using these banks, they distribute the money that they got through these scams through money mules, and they launder this money and then finally send it to the scammers originating from China. So the Chinese link which we have identified in tying to this e-commerce scam is that the Flipkart and Amazon clones, which I discussed now, they are actually having origins to China. So when we examine these Flipkart and Amazon clones, we discovered that they're registered to a registrant based in China. And both these sites and many other similar sites which we uncovered during this scam were actually registered through a domain registrar called GNAME, which is based on Singapore. And several of these sites are offered in multiple different languages, including Chinese, Hindi, Arabic, Spanish, Malay, etc., which signifies that these scammers are targeting a wide range of countries, which makes it all the more harder to target and track them. So now I'm moving on to a different type of scam, which is fake loan applications. So for in this particular scam, what it is being usually done by these scammers is that they create a counterfeit loan application that promises to offer significant amounts of money with very flexible repayment options. So when people want to purchase any kind of loans to these apps, they are duped into sharing their banking details and personal information, and then they are fooled into paying transaction fees under the promise of obtaining an instant loan. And these scammers, what they do is when users fail to repay their loans, they become aggressive and they resort to blackmailing and pressurizing the users. And the sad part is that a lot of these apps were actually distributed through the official Google Play Store as well. So to give you a overview about the modus operandi behind these fake loan application scams, these most of these Chinese originated fake loan apps, they actually exploit India's UPI systems. So they often pose as instant loan applications, online gaming applications, or fraudulent investment apps, and they then trick the users into promising that they will get a large loan and it will have a simple, easy repayment option, and it will be provided to them instantly. And they convince them that to obtain this particular loan, they have to provide their personal information and pay a transaction fee, which is often 5 to 10% of the requested loan amount by the victim. So these scammers then they use Chinese payment gateways that are obscured, which makes it easier to use for them because they have limited regulatory scrutiny. And this also helps them to move the funds outside of India through these sophisticated payment gateways, which makes them harder to track and obliterate. So now I'll discuss how these loan applications are actually misusing the personal data of Indian citizens. So the apps, like I mentioned, they require the users to provide their KYC details like their bank account number, PAN card, Aadhaar card details. And the scammers in exchange, they use this detail to create fake bank accounts or crypto exchange accounts to help them launder their money. So some of these apps, they also even gain full access to the devices contact details, the gallery images, SMS details, and location. And the scammers, what they do is they then use this particular information that they stole from the victim's device to use for money laundering and other phishing scams. And sometimes they even sell this data in the dark web, which will in turn be used to facilitate some other scam network. And with regards to getting permission from the gallery, what the scammers do is they fabricate the information and they gather access to the photos of the victims, and they manipulate these images into NSFW images, and then they message the close contacts of these victims to blackmail them into paying the loan and pressure them into submitting to their high interest rates and predatory terms. As you can see in the below screenshot, it is an analysis of a particular fake loan application that is actually requesting for a contact details of the user that installed the application on its device. So now we'll look into the life cycle of the scam and how it actually works. So the first step always involves in luring the victim with attractive and hassle-free instant loan options with very flexible repayment options as well. And as soon as the scammer collects the necessary information and the processing fees are paid by the victim, more often than not, the scammers completely vanish. And the entire operation, as I mentioned, is difficult to track due to its transnational nature. But in some cases, once the scammer gets all the required information, the user actually instantly receives the loan amount in their wallets or bank accounts. But over the course of the next few days or few weeks, the loan caller actually turns very aggressive and they demand that the victim pays the weekly interest rates and high interest for the loan. And if they fail to do this, the loan agents, they actually call the contacts of the victims and blackmail them and force them into paying this particular loan. And sometimes they even impersonate law enforcement agencies and even inform the contacts of the victims that the loan taker had made them the loan guarantors and try to blackmail them as well. This is one such message which we uncovered, which also has been sent to the victim in WhatsApp, asking them to repay the loan on time. So this is how the flow of the fake loan application scam works. So the first step always, like I mentioned, involves the user downloading the malicious application, and after that they will upload their proofs like their KYC details, Aadhaar, PAN card, etc. And they'll be sharing their bank account information, personal details, in the guise of applying for a loan. And often the loan will be instantly approved and the money will be transferred to the victim's account as well. And unbeknownst to the victim, without their awareness, they most likely sign some kind of fake loan agreement with high interest rate, exposing them to potential financial risks. And most of these victims are not even aware of such risks. And after this, like I mentioned, the loan callers start becoming aggressive and they request to pay the processing fees and repay the loan amount. And finally, the victims face several different consequences like having to pay high interest rates or potential leak of their personal data, identity theft, or even an impact to their credit score. And it also leads them to have a complete lack of faith in such digital payment systems and loan applications, even if they come across something genuine in the future. So now we'll discuss about the distribution strategy that is followed by these scammers to distribute these applications to as many people as possible. So one of the main ways that these apps are being distributed is through official app stores, and this is done by some kind of racketeers who use legitimate names of businesses or developers and user identities of popular financial institutions in India to actually post these applications in official app stores. And these apps, they maintain positive reviews through fake review services, which also makes it difficult for users to identify their fraudulent nature. And more positive reviews an app has, more likely that it reaches the top chart of the respective app store. And even when taken down from the official app store, or because of increased scrutiny that Google Play Store not allowing such apps in recent days, these developers, they actually publish these apps under different names, or they upload them to third party APK hosting websites, or they distribute it through Telegram channels or WhatsApp chats by sharing the links to these APKs to potential victims who are desperately looking for some kind of loan to support their life. So another interesting thing that is involved in this particular scam is the use of money mules and payment gateways to help manage the amount of processing fees that these scammers get from the victims. So the scammers use money mules, and these are people, these are like just normal people who have legitimate and existing bank accounts, and they especially target people who have accounts in smaller banks because of their less investigative structure, and use these people to launder the money that they got through these fraudulent applications. So these mules are then promised that they'll be given a 1 to 2% cut of the transaction fees for their service, and The interesting part about this is that these money mules are often recruited through Telegram channels. And during our analysis, we actually identified over 20 different Telegram channels that are actually existing for the sole purpose of recruiting these money mules. And some of these channels even send hundreds of messages on a daily basis. And the as you can see from the screenshot, which is from one of our internal monitoring tools, the messages sent by these scammers, they have certain requirements and promises. Like they require the money mules to have accounts in specific banks like PNB, Yes Bank, or IndusInd Bank, and they also require the mules to have verified KYC details, updated phone number, and sometimes they even want them to have some corporate bank account or a bank account with high limits to ensure that the likelihood of the account getting banned is less. Yeah. So now we'll discuss about the actual money laundering process involved in these scams and how the network of these scammers operate. So during our research, we uncovered that the scammers actually have a complex network of over 22 payment gateways that are obscure in nature, and they are not just in one particular country. They're actually spread across several countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, China, South Africa, Mexico, Brazil, etc. And this network helps the scammers to move their illegally gotten money, which makes this operation extremely complex and difficult to trace given the international nature that is behind this process. So some of these scammers, they actually use some kind of shell companies that are started for the sole purpose of this money laundering process, and these shell companies are then used for laundering millions of rupees. And they even use this particular funds that were gathered during this scams, and then transfer this to both domestic and international banks to launder that money. And even a popular crypto exchange platform, Binance, was recently involved in a scandal that they were failing to implement adequate anti-money laundering measures, which allowed the scammers to utilize this platform to launder the money that they got through these illicit measures. So this particular case actually underlines how such cryptocurrency exchanges can be exploited by these scammers for their money laundering purposes. And because of their global reach and the anonymous nature of these transactions, these kind of platforms are more and more preferred by such scammers. And more often than not, the scammers are very adaptable, and they often bypass any kind of new regulations or security measures, which makes it a significant challenge to combat such scams. And because these scammers constantly evolve their tactics and exploit gaps in our regulatory frameworks, like creating fake apps and using social engineering tactics to detect direct victims into these platforms and downloading these apps, they are they're being able to easily siphon off such funds and carry out such scams on a large scale basis. So I would suggest our recommendation based on our analysis is that international cooperation among law enforcement agencies across different countries is necessary because, like I mentioned, these scammers have a large network and they use payment gateways spread across multiple countries and financial institutions. And due to this nature, it is important that we have to strengthen our regulations around such cryptocurrency exchanges like Binance, and even digital payment platforms that we use in India, like the UPI interface, which can be done by implementing more robust anti-money laundering schemes, which will help to stop such scammers in using exploiting such platforms to carry out their scams and laundering the money which they got through these illegal means. So now I'll cover how can someone actually identify such fake loan applications. So as you might know that RBI has a regulation that any application that is providing a loan service has to be registered with the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, and all the recognized lending financial institutions must mandatorily indicate the licensing details with RBI in their developer website or their app store description. So any app that is not having this particular licensing details under their page cannot be trusted. And another mandatory requirement for a loan application is actually to do a credit check of the user before proceeding to provide them with a loan. So if an app does not ask to check your credit history or any related paperwork, and proceeds to directly give you an instant loan, then you can definitely guess that it is a fake loan application. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of these apps are also having high interest rates and hidden fees, which may not be apparent. But if you try to get some kind of indication that they are having a hidden fee or a transaction amount or something, you can assume that it is a fake application. And a lot of these apps have unprofessional or inconsistent communication. So if you see that app description or the screenshot or the images, they often contain improper spelling or grammatical errors, because some of these scammers, they lack professional sophistication standards which are required to be maintained by official applications. And like I mentioned earlier, these apps request extensive permissions during the installation process itself. So they try to request access to your contact list, your gallery, try to request access to your audio, cameras, storage, SMS, and any of such permissions. So all of these permissions can be used to fetch additional data about you, which can then be used to further manipulate you during the scam process, or even be sold to third parties or in the dark web. So if you see any app asking for extensive list of permissions or unnecessary permissions, it is better to avoid such apps, because it is more likely a fake application. And a lot of these apps do not have any kind of online or physical presence. If you do a bit of a research or check the website provided in the application's description page, you can clearly see that there is no website that exists. Or even if any of these apps have an actual website, it will lack important pages like privacy conditions or terms and conditions, which will indicate that it is not an official application. And you can also make use of tools like virus total, and by downloading the APK of these fake applications or suspicious applications, and once these are uploaded to virus total will actually flag these apps as potentially unwanted or spy loan, which will indicate that this is a malicious application. So after this, now we'll cover a different type of scam, which is an investment-based scams, also originating from China. So the fake investment scams that are targeting Indian users from China, they involve a scheme where these Chinese nationals, they create a variety of fraudulent companies and websites, and these entities, they then promise high returns for investments, and they claim that anyone who invests through them, they can triple or even quadruple their investments and get a return in value. And more often, they guarantee 100% success rate as well, and daily returns to entice users. And most often, these scams involve investment opportunities in areas like cryptocurrency and the stock market, trying to entice potential users and victims. So as you can see, we have uncovered around 1,800 investment scam messages in December alone, which is clearly pointing that it is a very prevalent issue. We were able to cover around 200 Telegram channels, and these 1,800 messages are actually trying to entice users into invest their money into some kind of high returns scheme, promising 300%, 400% returns. And they also link to a WhatsApp number, and we have uncovered 465 unique WhatsApp numbers, which are mainly integrated to Chinese, both in WhatsApp and also in the Telegram channels that distribute these numbers, which suggests that it is an elaborate scam operation. So, like I mentioned, we have covered around 218 Telegram channels that are existing for the sole purpose of distributing such investment scam messages. As you can see in the screenshot below, there are different Telegram channels and different types of investment and home earning opportunities being mentioned here. So you can see that one of these messages is offering 5,000 offered in Bitcoin trading and 15,000 received. And another investment scam is offering an investment of 10,000 and they will give you a profit of 30,000, and they even link to a WhatsApp number. Similarly, we have identified hundreds of WhatsApp numbers, and most of these WhatsApp numbers are of Chinese origin based on our analysis. And the personal and banking details of these victims are collected through these websites and applications with fraudulent returns. And most people just end up losing their money to these scammers, because after they invest their money, there is no way that they can get it back. Another type of scam that we will cover now is recruitment scam, which is also becoming very prevalent in recent days. So these Chinese cyber criminals, they have been targeting WhatsApp users in India with fake job offers as part of a sophisticated scam. So not just in WhatsApp, they also have these fake recruitment opportunities and offers posted in Telegram channels as well. And these messages often lure users with the promise of part-time jobs or work from home opportunities, and they offer earnings between rupees 2,000 to 3,000 per day for minimal work. This obviously entices users and people who are looking for a job opportunity. But this scam actually involves websites and multiple links to the websites that actually redirect the victim to a common URL that is part of this large scam. And each of these websites and links are distributed to the victims using different phone numbers in WhatsApp and Telegram. And during our investigation, we identified that the domain names that were involved in this particular recruitment scam or online or work from home job opportunities were actually registered in China. And one of the IP addresses were even traced back to Alibaba Cloud in Hong Kong, China. So this particular scam is actually a growing trend of cyber threats that is recently targeting Indian users through platforms like WhatsApp and Telegram. And a lot of people, especially students who recently finished their graduation, are falling victims to this particular scam as well. So we have come to the end of the presentation now, and I'd like to conclude it by saying that I hope that the comprehensive analysis of the Chinese originating cybercrimes I discussed about in the presentation targeting India uh, reveals urgent and coordinated countermeasure that is required to thwart such cybercrimes. And these variety of cybercrimes ranging from fake loan apps to fake e-commerce websites to phishing attacks and fake investment scams or recruitment opportunities, they clearly demonstrate a multifaceted nature of the threat that is posed by these cyber criminals. And these scams are not just a concern for individual people, but they actually represent a broader threat to our national security as well. And the scammers using platforms like Telegram, WhatsApp, or social media sites and official app stores, they make use of techniques like domain fuzzing, website impersonation, which clearly shows the level of sophistication they have in their criminal activities and operations. And because of the direct involvement of Chinese origin scammers in these activities, it highlights the international dimension of these cyber threats, and it highlights the need for the cross border solutions as well. So the consequences of these crimes, they not only have a financial loss impact, but they also undermine the confidence our Indian citizens have in legitimate online services and in our digital infrastructure like UPI payment systems. And because of the misuse of the personal data, the people who are involved in these scams will have a long lasting impact. And the funds that are acquired through these scams, the worst part is that this fund can actually be used to potentially finance further illegal activities planned by these scammers, amplifying the impact they have. So in order to combat these threats, I would like to present that India needs to enhance its cybersecurity infrastructure and implement stricter regulations and oversight of digital platforms, websites, and applications, and increase public awareness about these scams. And even having an international cooperation, especially in cyber intelligence and law enforcement collaboration, is essential to track and dismantle these international cyber criminal networks. So, to conclude, I would like to underscore the urgency that is needed for a proactive approach to safeguard against these Chinese originated cyber crimes. And as these cyber threats evolve, it is important that India's cybersecurity strategies and the international collaborations also evolve along with it to ensure the protection of our digital landscape and the safety of our citizens in the cyberspace. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending.
Hello, Rajasekaran. That was such a great talk. The data you have provided, it's just so scary.
Yeah, there are many such scams that are continuously being happening.
Yes, and no, an ordinary person can never be able to like actually go through all of this, and
Yes,
it's just
yes.
so scary to see the all of the data that you have presented in your work.
Yeah, like I mentioned, because using this Facebook and Instagram ads, these scammers are actually being able to specifically target victims who are interested in these kind of websites. So, which is even more scary because those are the people who often purchase things online and they might not even be aware such scams even
Yeah, and
exist.
then they get scammed. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's terrible. So we have few questions.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just check it out.
So I've just dropped them on the screen so you'll be able
Okay.
to see. So Ishwar Kumar asks, how are they able to threaten the victims when they know it's fake? Like, what if victim does not pay back the loan? How can we join Saptang likes to contribute to these concerning issues?
Okay, yeah, like I mentioned, most of these apps they gain access to your contact details and your gallery. So, in case if the victims refuse to pay the loan back, they will actually take the photos the victims have in their gallery, morph those images, and then send that, and then blackmail them that they will be sending these images to their contacts if they refuse to pay the loan back. So, you can go through the news in recent times, you can actually see a lot of people have even committed suicide.
Committing suicides and all, yeah, at the COVID time and just after the
Yeah.
COVID, yeah, this was very much, pretty much on the news almost every time.
Yes, they even impersonate law enforcement agencies, trying to scare them into pay the loan back somehow.
Okay. So the next question
Yeah.
is by Raviraj Mehta. He asks not only Google Play Store but even in Apple App Store how we can figure out the legit looking apps has some nefarious plans or not, and not for grabbing your IP, phone and bank details.
Okay, so one way to do this is, like I mentioned in the presentation, that to check what kind of permissions the app is actually requesting. And some of these apps will also have a privacy policy attached to the description, which is kind of like a mandatory thing to do. And if you go through the privacy policy, you will know what kind of data this app is collecting from you. So if anything looks suspicious or if the app is collecting any unwanted information, you can be sure that this is not a legit app.
Okay. Another question we have. This is from Raviraj Mehta again. For example, a very well known app named Discord has deployed some malicious bots which can join the unknown servers from your account without any knowledge on behalf of you. And when we leave those servers, we are not able to leave and we are trapped.
Okay. I'm not sure what
Yeah, I think
question.
this is the continuation for the first
Okay.
question he has asked.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if the safest way to avoid such issues is to not install any kind of third-party applications that we download from unofficial app stores or websites, and only install apps from the official Play Store. And to ensure that we are aware of the app's activities, it is always recommended to go through the app's reviews, especially the negative reviews, to know what kind of experiences or bad experiences the users that have already tried
Users
this
I
app.
have already had.
Yeah.
Yeah.